Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has expressed his readiness to step up and provide leadership for Africa. Special advisor to the president for special duties, communications and strategy, Dele Aleke, conveyed President Tinubu's recognition of Nigeria's crucial role in providing leadership within the continent after a private visit by President Umaru Sissoco Embalo of the Republic of Guinea-Bissau to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at his Ikoyi, Lagos residence yesterday. Dele Alake emphasized the significance of President Embalo's visit as it demonstrated the growing expectations placed upon Nigeria, especially within the ECOWAS region.
The president of Guinea-Bissau came to visit the president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but it was strictly a private visit. It wasn't anything official at all. It was a private visit, and we had to be on hand to receive him. And our president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, received him very warmly. And the president of Guinea-Bissau himself exuded some enthusiasm and warmth, which is uncharacteristic, untypical of what we saw in the past. He was very forthcoming, he was very expressive. He expressed his solidarity with the president of Nigeria and his readiness to cooperate with Nigeria at all times and with our current president. And he commended the laudable and policy initiatives of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the last 1 month. And he said that everybody in the world, in the international community, have been commending his giant strides.
Well, all right. I believe President Embalo has joined other world leaders in congratulating Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the giant strides he's taking, I believe. That's what Dele Alake has said in policy reforms. And as you know, that the President is the chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of States and Government. So I believe this is signaling a good sign for African countries, West African countries in particular.
Yes, indeed, absolutely. For the chair of the ECOWAS government to visit our president, it's a good sign. It shows respect, it shows camaraderie, it shows brotherliness. One would have thought, though, that the first visit by another head of state to the president barely just 1 month, just after 1 month in office, that maybe it would have been a proper official visit in which, state visit in which he would have received, the Guinea-Bissau president in Abuja. But we had Mr. Dele Alake there clarifying that it was a strictly private meeting. It will look to a few cynics out there, though, to say that it is becoming recurring that the word private hovers around the authorities of power in Nigeria, given what happened after the president left Paris on an official visit, and then he had to make a detour to London on a private visit.
On a private visit.
And then he returned to Nigeria, not yet to Abuja, returned to Nigeria, to Lagos for Salah break. And he's been busy, and here we are having the Guinea-Bissau president coming on a private visit. One may also wonder that if it was just a strictly private visit, how come the presidential spokesperson had so much to say about the content of the visit between the two presidents? Maybe it would have been ideal, it would have been the norm to have them address the media if the Guinea-Bissau president had so much commendable things to say.
It would have been good.
It would have been good,
Absolutely.
I'm not sure that if a foreign president comes on a private visit, you are not allowed to speak to the media. Once you step out of your territory and you are being received formally, I don't think that it takes anything away, to say that, I'm here on a private visit, but of course I'm here to rejoice with my brother and to share some thoughts, even though privately. What I also didn't get in what Mr. Laki said was that, unlike what was obtained in the past, that the candor, the the attitude of the visiting president, was quite warm, was quite.
Yeah, that was quite confusing for me. I mean,
I would say that it was unnecessary,
yes.
Given the fact that the same man was in Nigeria on February the 10th
Absolutely.
to visit former President Muhammadu Buhari
yes.
just before the elections. And I'm not aware, I mean, that was a proper, official visit. And I'm not aware that there were any misgivings as to how President Muhammadu Buhari received him. And therefore, to suggest that the visit to Tinubu is quite unlike how it was in the past, I think that we may be overstating simple matters here, which really is not necessary, particularly when, diplomatic institutions are concerned. The president, another president has come visiting. We have received him well. I think that should be it, really, since it is a private matter.
Absolutely.
Maybe they felt that the clarification was needed, given part of the story that trailed, so some of the controversies around the candidate Tinubu, then now President Tinubu, about dual citizenship, another passport, but referring to Guinea and not Guinea-Bissau. It might be confusing to people just reading, So
yeah, those are people that are not too sure of the differences between the two countries.
Yeah.
But as you know, everyone is looking up to Nigeria. I mean, and this new administration. So it is important, like you said, for these world leaders also to even just commend in public and talk about what it is that they are doing. I mean, we have seen this happen in the past. I mean, we see these people, they come in and they visit and they share whether it is, economic benefits that they are going to offer Nigeria. It's important for us to know as well. I mean,
even people who visit the president in Abuja privately.
Yes, they
once
also
they step out, they brief the press to say, well, it was private, but these are the issues that we discussed, here and there.
Yeah.
No big deal about it. We shouldn't mystify, the act of governance.
Well, I hope he'll visit again, and there'll be more to come. Well, in another development, in a bid to end the sword relationship between Igbos and Yorubas in Lagos State, Governors Hope Uzodinma of Imo State and Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State have set up a committee to broker peace between the two ethnic groups. In a communique issued at the end of the meeting, the two governors agreed to suspend further demolition of Alaba International Market in order to foster cordial relationship between the Southeast and the Southwest. The governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, and his Lagos State counterpart agreed to work together to accept that compensation will be paid for any wrong demolition in Alaba International Market. These two state governors also agreed that tax rates and demand notices levied on Igbo real estate developers will be reviewed to prevent any future friction between both ethnic groups in Lagos. A proper channel of communication is expected to be established with organized Igbo leaders in Lagos, as it used to be in previous administration. Steve, I believe this is such an important topic. I mean, I do admire and appreciate the fact that these two governors met in order to douse tension that has been going on for, I mean, even pre-election.
Yeah.
I mean, the issue of Yoruba is no man land. I mean, Lagos is no man's land, which is, absolutely absurd. I mean, I have to say this because, I don't know anybody that would say that type. That would, go ahead and push that type of rhetoric. And I thought it was quite unnecessary. But I think that this whole channel that the two governors have created is important so that, this whole demolition process, which I believe was quite unnecessary, has been doused. I also came across a story about indigents, Yorubas in the UK, I don't know if you saw that story, asking the Lagos State governor to try to adopt the English property law. And they talked about the fact that, it will help to protect the indigents in Lagos State. I believe that if you purchase a piece of property in Lagos State, I believe they give you a lease for about 100 years.
Yeah,
these people are about 100 years. And these people are asking that, the indigents of Lagos should be protected in that regard so that, maybe they can hold on to the lease for much longer.
Well, this is a conversation that will go on for a long time.
Yeah.
We can't deny that there has always been tension between the owners of Lagos, or shall we say indigents of Lagos, and the Yorubas, settlers who also try to make some claims, on Lagos. And of course, those who are not of the Yoruba descent. The tension has always been there, but then it got exacerbated because of elections. Not just this last election. It got worse, yes, definitely. It got worse, definitely. This last election. But you recall, of course, that in 2014, 2015, and the things that were credited to, the Kabiyesi, about people voting for candidate A and not for candidate B. I think part of what they are doing now, especially with the fact that there are at least a couple of APC governors in the Southeast, shows that they are ready to tackle the issue headlong. And I like the sort of leadership, yes, that Governor Sanwo-Olu is providing. I mean, he's coming across as a man of peace, as a man of understanding, as somebody who, who's appreciable, who's hospitable, and is always willing to listen and to mend fences and to, build bridges. So I think that what he has done with Hope Uzodimma, Governor of Imo State, is quite commendable. It shouldn't stop with the Governor of Imo State, because we are dealing with not just people from Imo State, but the other 4 states from the Southeast. I recall when former Governor Akinwumi Ambode was the Governor of Lagos State, there was an issue regarding how many people from Ebonyi, how many of the kids that were those who were like very well entrenched in street hawking, many of them were traced to Ebonyi State, and Governor Ambode instituted a kind of a committee between Ebonyi State and Lagos State. But it turned out at that time that the sort of a thing that was being requested for, it was almost like asking Lagos to subsidize those who will be coming, so that it would become less of a burden to Ebonyi State. But, it was an ongoing process. So I think that is the kind of a thing that Governor Sanwo-Olu and Hope Uzodimma will need to learn from, so that you don't say, because we are trying to have peace, we will ignore some raw facts. Part of what the former administration said was that, hey, you need to look after, your wards.
Yes.
You need to provide education for them. We can't say, because once we start what we can't finish, it simply means that every youngster from Ebonyi, will be heading towards Lagos. Of course, there's nothing stopping anybody from coming here, but don't come constitute a nuisance. As to the good news about, Alaba and the demolitions, if there are improper structures there, it is also important to stress it, so that will not continue, and you don't hide behind the finger to say that, oh, the governor has said that you can't demolish anything. If it is wrong, it is wrong. That's part of what the committee, will need to...
Yeah, it's all about communication, though. Yes. I mean, there needs to be that type of collaboration between the indigents, especially the fact that there's so much rancor between the two ethnic groups. It's important for them to, have that communication ahead of time. And that is the most important thing.
If a demolition will be carried out, people will have been properly served anyway.
This is
so that you can. I think one party shouldn't hound the other, and then the spirit of victimhood, should also be reduced, so that when people say do the right thing, you then cry out and say that I'm being victimized. I think that's part of what the committee should look at, so that we do the proper thing.
And we should also just make sure that everybody knows that, I mean, these spaces or whatever it is, they're all for Nigerians, not just for a particular ethnic group. Even though there are a lot of, Igbo people in the Alaba market space, but a lot of other ethnic groups are there too, and they should stop, trivializing or, making up this whole ethnic bigotry as I see it.
We don't need it. So this committee should do the right thing.
Absolutely.